The chandeliers of the Grand Ballroom at the Ritz-Carlton cast a golden glow over my brother James's youngest of the year celebration. At 35, he'd taken our father's company, Wilson Electronics, from a respectable mid-sized business to a publicly traded corporation worth $800 million. At least that's what everyone thought. I adjusted my simple black dress, purchased from a department store as my sister-in-law Amanda never failed to notice, and watched the familiar scene unfold. Business titans, local celebrities and family friends all circling James like planets around their sun. "Katherine," my mother's voice carried across the marble floor. "You're late. Again." I checked my watch. Actually 5 minutes early, but that didn't matter in the Wilson family narrative. James was the star, the golden child. I was the disappointment who'd walked away from the family business 5 years ago to play with computers, as Dad liked to say. "Sorry, Mother. Work ran late." "That little tech thing you do?" Amanda sauntered over, champagne in hand. "Still trying to make that work? How persistent of you." If she only knew that my little tech thing had just completed its final move. 5 years of careful planning, all coming down to tonight. "James is about to speak." Mother steered me toward the crowd. "Try to look interested in your brother's success for once." I bit back a smile. James stood at the podium, basking in the adoration of his guests. His custom-made tuxedo probably cost more than what he thought I made in a month. "My fellow business leaders," he began, "family, friends. What an incredible journey it's been." I pulled out my phone, checking the time. 3 minutes. When I took over Wilson Electronics from our father, some said I was too young, too ambitious. He paused for dramatic effect. "They said the same thing when I took us public last year. But look at us now, stock at an all-time high, expansion into 3 new markets." 2 minutes. "Of course I have to thank my family. My beautiful wife Amanda, my supportive parents." He smirked in my direction, "and my dear sister Katherine, who chose to pursue alternative career paths. I guess not everyone is cut out for real business." The crowd chuckled. My phone vibrated silently, a message from my actual office, not the small rental space my family thought I worked from. "Acquisition complete. Awaiting your signal." 1 minute. "And so," James continued, "I'm proud to announce our biggest move yet. Wilson Electronics is launching a new subsidiary focused on artificial intelligence and quantum computing." I typed back, "Execute Protocol Omega. We've acquired patents, hired experts." James was saying, but suddenly phones started buzzing throughout the ballroom. The giant screens displaying Wilson Electronics stock price flickered. "What the?" James fumbled with his phone. The stock price started dropping. Not slowly, not gradually, but in free fall. $42. $38. $25. Gasps filled the room. James's face went from confused to panicked as he watched his company's value plummet in real time. "This must be a mistake," he stammered. "Some technical glitch." "Not a glitch," I said quietly, but in the stunned silence my voice carried. "Just business." James's head snapped up. "What did you say?" I walked toward the podium, each click of my heels echoing in the shocked quiet. "Remember when you mocked my little tech thing last Christmas? Asked if I was still playing with computers while real business leaders made actual money? What are you talking about?" But there was fear in his eyes now. I reached the stage just as another wave of notifications hit everyone's phones. Breaking news alerts, financial updates, urgent market warnings. Breaking. Shadow Tech acquires controlling interest in Wilson Electronics. Wilson Electronics stock crashes amid hostile takeover. Tech giant Shadow reveals secret stake in Wilson Electronics. "Shadow Tech," Amanda whispered. "But that's the most secretive tech company in the world. Nobody even knows who owns it." "Actually," I smiled, finally letting my carefully maintained facade drop, "they do now." The screens behind James flashed with new information. Shadow Tech's official press release, complete with my photo and full biography. "No," James breathed. "No, it's impossible." "What's impossible, big brother?" "That your failure of a sister spent 5 years building a tech empire while you were busy showing off at parties? That I now own 51% of your company? Or that you never saw it coming?" The room erupted in chaos. Dad pushed through the crowd, his face purple with rage. "What have you done?" Business, I replied simply. Isn't that what you always wanted me to learn? The ballroom had transformed from a celebration into a crisis center. Business leaders huddled in corners, frantically calling their brokers. James's board members gathered near the bar, their faces ashen as they watched their investments evaporate. And my family, they stood frozen watching their perfectly crafted world crumble. This is illegal, James finally sputtered. You can't just. Can't what? I pulled out my tablet, displaying documents that made him flinch. Legally acquire shares through multiple shell companies. Monitor your company's vulnerabilities. Notice that your revolutionary AI division was built on stolen patents. His face went from red to white. How did you know about the intellectual property theft? The falsified research data? The offshore accounts? I swiped through files that documented every shortcut, every fraud, every corner he'd cut while building his empire. I didn't spend 5 years playing with computers, James. I spent them watching you dig your own grave. Amanda grabbed his arm. James, what is she talking about? Nothing, he snapped. She's bluffing. There's no way she could know that you're 3 months away from a major SEC investigation? I finished for him. Or that your groundbreaking quantum computing project is actually a front for embezzling investor funds. Dad stepped forward, attempting to salvage control. Now see here, Katherine. Whatever game you're playing. Game. I turned to face him. Like the game where you helped James steal my software designs in college? The ones he used to launch Wilson Electronics' first, innovative, product line. Mom gasped. That's not true. James would never. Show them, I commanded into my phone. The ballroom screens flickered again, displaying security footage from 10 years ago. James in my college apartment, copying files from my laptop while I was at class. Dad standing lookout. The timestamp matched perfectly with Wilson Electronics' first major product launch. I knew, I said quietly. I knew the day it happened. But unlike you, I understood that revenge is a dish best served cold. And very, very public. James lunged for me, but security, my security, stepped between us. Your wife's trust fund, I continued calmly. The one that financed your takeover of Dad's company? Check the accounts, Amanda. Check them right now. Amanda's fingers trembled as she pulled up her banking app. Her scream told everyone what she'd found. 0, I confirmed. Every penny invested in shadow tech through blind trusts over the past 3 years. Your greed made it easy. Always chasing higher returns, never questioning where the money was going. You stole my money, she shrieked. No, I invested it. Very successfully, I might add. You're actually richer now than you were an hour ago. I smiled. Of course, it's all in shadow tech shares and I control those. The screens updated again. Wilson Electronics stock had bottomed out at $8 per share. 5 years of James's brilliant leadership, erased in 15 minutes. Why? James whispered, slumping against the podium. Why do this? Remember Mom's 60th birthday party? When you announced your first $1 million bonus. I moved closer, letting him see the steel in my eyes. You said I'd never succeed because I lacked killer instinct. That I was too soft for the business world. That was years ago. Or last Thanksgiving when you mockingly offered me a job as your secretary. Or Christmas, when you gave me a basic coding book because even simple skills might help my little hobby. Each example hit him like a physical blow. But mostly, I continued, I did this because you and Dad taught me the most valuable lesson possible. Never let anyone know what you're capable of until it's too late for them to stop you. Dad moved to speak, but the arrival of 2 SEC agents silenced him. I'd timed everything perfectly. Ms. Wilson, one agent nodded to me. We received your evidence package. Very comprehensive. Years of documentation, I agreed. Every illegal trade, every stolen patent, every falsified report. I believe you'll find it more than sufficient for a federal investigation. James fell into a chair, his perfect world collapsing around him. You've been planning this since you left the company. Actually, I've been planning it since the day you stole my work. The day I realized that my own family saw me not as a person to nurture, but as a resource to exploit. I turned to the agents. Shall we discuss the details somewhere more private? As we walked toward the exit, I heard Amanda's desperate voice. But what about our house? The cars? Our lifestyle. I paused at the door. You might want to check the ownership records. Shadow Tech's subsidiary just acquired your mortgage company. Consider your next move carefully. The ballroom erupted again as reality set in. The mighty Wilson family undone by the daughter they'd dismissed. The sister they'd mocked. The woman they'd underestimated. The next morning Wall Street Journal's headline read, Tech's hidden giant emerges. Shadow Tech orchestrates historic takedown of family empire. The story was everywhere, business channels, social media, industry blogs. 5 years of secrecy shattered in one spectacular evening. I sat in my real office, not the modest co-working space my family had mocked, but the entire top floor of Manhattan's newest smart building. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a perfect view of Wilson Electronics headquarters, where federal agents were currently executing search warrants. Ms. Wilson. My assistant Michael appeared. Your brother's wife is here. Along with your parents. I didn't turn from the window. Security screening? Complete. No phones, no recording devices. And the pre-signed NDAs are verified. Send them in. They entered like shadows of their former selves. Amanda's designer outfit looked wrinkled as if she'd slept in it. Mom's perfect makeup couldn't hide her reddened eyes. Dad just looked old. Have a seat, I gestured to the modern conference table. I assume you've seen the morning news? Katherine, Mom started, her voice trembling. Surely we can discuss this privately? As a family. Like you discussed stealing my intellectual property? Or laundering money through fake AI projects? I turned, letting them see me in my true element. This meeting isn't about family. It's about business. Business. Dad's voice cracked. You've destroyed everything we built. No, I corrected him. I exposed what you destroyed. Every illegal deal, every stolen innovation, every fraudulent report. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Amanda leaned forward. My trust fund is now worth triple its original value, thanks to Shadow Tech's stock price. I slid her a tablet showing the numbers. You're welcome. But I can't access it. Consider it frozen pending the federal investigation. After all, we wouldn't want any appearance of insider trading, would we? Dad slammed his hand on the table. Enough games. What do you want? I pressed a button and the windows turned into display screens, showing real-time data. Wilson Electronics' collapsing stock price, Shadow Tech's soaring valuations, and most importantly the evidence, years of documented fraud. What I want, I said slowly, is for you to understand exactly what you threw away. Not just my innovations but my trust. My respect. My love. We were trying to protect you, Mom pleaded. The business world is harsh. Protect me. I laughed. By stealing my work? By mocking my choices? By treating me like a failure while using my stolen designs to build your precious empire? I pulled up more documents. Here's James's first breakthrough product. Actually my college project, stolen from my laptop. Here's the patent he claimed to develop, my work rebranded under his name. Here's the revolutionary AI system he announced last night, stolen from Shadow Tech's secure servers. He didn't even change the code comments. That's not. Dad started. True. I typed a command and their private emails filled the screens. Like this conversation about how to handle Katherine's inconvenient talent? Or these messages planning how to acquire my work without raising suspicions. They sat in stunned silence as years of their own words condemned them. But here's what truly fascinating, I continued. While you were all so busy stealing my amateur work, none of you noticed what I was really building. Shadow Tech isn't just another company. It's the future of quantum computing, AI integration and digital security. Those patents you stole. Decoys. The real innovations were protected behind layers of security you couldn't even comprehend. What do you want from us? Amanda whispered. Want? I already have everything. Your company, your reputations, your futures, all now controlled by the daughter you underestimated. The sister you humiliated. The woman you tried to destroy. Michael appeared with more documents. The SEC is ready for phase 2. Perfect. I stood, smoothing my designer suit, no more department store clothes needed. You have 2 choices. Option 1. Face federal charges for fraud, theft, and securities violations. Option 2. Sign these papers. What papers? Dad asked hoarsely. Full confession. Complete asset forfeiture. Public admission of every theft, every fraud, every lie. In exchange, Shadow Tech doesn't press additional charges. You'd destroy your own family? Mom cried. Family. I picked up a framed photo from my desk, the only personal item in the office. It showed a younger me proudly displaying a coding award. In the background, James could be seen copying something from my laptop. You destroyed our family the day you chose profit over principles. I'm just exposing the rot. Amanda grabbed the papers, already reaching for a pen. Self-preservation had always been her strongest trait. One more thing, I added. James wasn't arrested last night because I arranged it. He has until noon to turn himself in. After that, Interpol gets involved. Dad stood up, trying one last time. Katherine, please. We can fix this. Make it right. Make it right. I walked to the window, watching federal agents load boxes of evidence into their vehicles. Like you made it right when you stole my work? When you mocked my dreams? When you taught James that success justifies any crime? My phone buzzed. James had been spotted trying to board a private jet. Too late, I murmured, sending a pre-prepared message. Within seconds, his face appeared on every screen in the building, marked as a federal fugitive. Sign the papers, I told my remaining family. Then watch the news tonight. Your perfect son, your golden child, is about to learn what real business looks like. They signed in silence, broken only by Mom's quiet sobs. As security escorted them out, Dad turned back one last time. Was it worth it? He asked. Destroying everything for revenge? This isn't revenge, I replied. It's justice. And unlike you, I built my success on innovation, not theft. On creation, not destruction. I smiled coldly. The fact that it destroys you is just, what did James call it? Good business. 3 hours later, James was arrested trying to cross the Canadian border. Shadow Tech stock hit another record high. And I sat in my office watching my family's carefully constructed facade crumble on national television. Success, I realized, wasn't just about making money or winning power. It was about proving that true innovation outlasts theft, that real talent defeats fraud, and most importantly, that karma eventually catches up to everyone, even family. Especially family.